Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is
Of
Elena
course.
from the beautiful short film Flüge. Is it Flüge?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there
FLÜGGE,
we go.
yes.
Which translates in English to fly or to leave the nest, which was very fitting. And this short film really did soar. The gorgeous cinematography, thoughtful storytelling, and exceptional performances, of which yours, Elena, was definitely particularly moving. So thank you so much for joining me. I'd love to get to know a little bit more about you before we fly into the film. So
Yeah.
to start out, what made you decide to pursue acting? What drew you to it?
Oh. So I grew up in a village in Germany, and there was a stage in our village where my whole family was playing, and I grew up on there. So theater was always in my life. And
Mm.
then I decided to have this dream about becoming an actress and musical theater actress, specifically when I was 14. And then I really trained ballet and singing and acting. So yeah, and then I got to university when I was 21. I did 4 years of applying. It's very hard to get a place in Germany to study it. Um, but once you're in, there are only like 6 people in each year. So it's a very nice education and acting school, and you don't have to pay anything. So that's very nice. And
Yes.
yeah, yeah. And I started doing also films. Actually, when I was a kid, I always wanted to become a movie actress, of course.
Mm.
Um, so I started in COVID, during COVID. I was very lucky. There was not much, yeah, films being produced, of course.
Yeah.
But I actually got my first job for a good television, what is it? Yeah, for ZDF in Germany, for the TV. And it was my first experience on camera. It was like 7 days on a little farm with horses and stuff.
Sounds a
So
perfect way to spend COVID.
yeah, yeah, I was so lucky. And yeah, I really loved it. And then I decided to do more e-castings and apply for short films. And yeah, really met lovely people who believed in me without having any show reel or something, just with e-castings. And so yeah, and then after like 3 years, like shooting like 1 or 2 movies each year, like short movies, I got Amelie and FLÜGGE.
Yeah. And yeah, in terms of how this film came into your life, was this also one of these e-castings where you're just shooting your work out into the world and hoping for the best? Or how did this come into your life?
I saw it on Instagram actually.
Amazing.
Um, and they chose like wonderful pictures of this like Pinterest boards somehow like looking for an Amelie, and I was like, wow, this picture, I love it. And at that time, I read a book about kind of the same story.
Oh.
Um, and yeah, I was like, wow. And I really love the historic times. I
Hmm.
always wanted to shoot something in that. And I was like, wow, this is me. I really want to do this. And then I did the e-casting, and yeah, I was like, okay, let's see. Yeah, and actually they told me they had so many applications, like I think 300 at least for Emily, I think. Yes. And then they invited some, like 12 or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, they invited some for a finale in Munich, and I went there, and then yeah, then I got the part.
Here it is. It feels very serendipitous if you're reading something that's a similar story at the same time. It just
Yeah,
kind of all came together. That's lovely.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, wonderful. Okay, so when you first read the script, what were you thinking?
I thought it's great. Like even the e-casting scene they had, it changed a lot. Like the yeah, she was in love with Alois at first, and then it changed all the way back and forward. And
Mm.
um, yeah, it was very different, the e-casting scene, than the actual movie. Um, but they are very smart people.
Hmm.
Very good decisions they made, I think, for Amelie and for all the people in it. So yeah, I'm really happy with the text and stuff.
Yeah, you can usually tell from the first casting scene whether it's going to be good or not. You can
Yes. You can.
Do I really want to put the hours of prep work into the piece?
Yeah.
Maybe this is for somebody else. So
Yeah.
definitely was worthwhile that you put in the work, and it definitely was worth the
Yeah.
investment.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so we love to see these strong, passionate female characters, especially based on historical people, fighting against kind of the norms, the limited options for women at the time. How did you find your way into this role of Amelie? Where did you find that spark, that inspiration?
Mm, I think it was both like external and internal. I have
Mhm.
this I'm using this. There's a little part in me that is really like that is just Amelie, and all this, yeah, funny female roles that are like against everybody else, and
Mhm.
and I really can bring this up because I'm kind of like that, but of course, I didn't live in this time. Um, yeah, but I really like that, and also yeah, I really try to get into the time, like 1914, um, right before the First World War started.
Mhm.
It was very interesting. I read all the newspaper articles I could find in online and was really trying to get the vibe of the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, also that they didn't even really know about there was never a world war before, so they couldn't know. And for us, it's like, oh, it's the year the world war began, but for them, it's not. And it's very, yeah, it's very interesting to make all this history we learned in schools alive and
Yeah. And
yeah,
real instead of like it's all
real.
stories, but they're not people like in the past people were they were still humans and they still had these
Yes.
lives and these passions. And I think sometimes when we get into historical pieces, people put on these airs of
Yeah.
oh, I'm a historical person and I talk like
Yeah,
this.
and it's so distant then, but it's so
Yeah.
interesting when you put it here and what it really meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that was what was lovely about this piece. Like it was very immersive in terms of the costumes, the scene, the
Yeah.
settings and the location scouting like blew me away. I felt like we
Yeah.
were
Me too.
so in it. But I really appreciated with all of the acting and even the tone of the piece, we didn't get into the stuffiness. It felt like it definitely was in the time period, but it felt like it could be today. And I think that made us
Great. Yeah.
connect to the characters more rather than having that distancing effect. So
Hmm.
they really succeeded in that. In terms of the environment and the costumes and the set dressing, I know that can very much change a performance or make it come to life in a deeper way. How did those elements have an influence on your performance?
Wow, that was huge. They did such an amazing job. I never experienced something like this. It didn't feel like a low or no budget production at all.
Goodness.
No, it was so great. We had actually 2 weeks of just rehearsing in Munich, and they gave me a room there, and I could really get like, yeah. I- Also, there was all this costume fitting. We had a great costume designer and a great assistant. And I also had like sewing lessons, like to really learn the techniques because Amelie is sewing a lot. And then we just rehearsed and improvised the scenes that happened before the movie, like getting to know Levente. And we really improvised for like an hour in the sun, in a beautiful garden outside of Munich. And I always had this skirt of Amelie. And also, it really helped that all the dresses are so itchy of the time. It's so different than nowadays. It
Yeah.
really helped. Like it was a whole different, and the smell. It smelled. It smelled
Hmm.
like a bit of like goats. It's funny. Yeah, it really helped. And I'm so lucky that I could wear the skirts before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I almost have
yeah.
goosebumps
Elena did a
hearing
great job.
about this experience because that seems it's not just every production that you get that kind of immersive experience. So that's beautiful. And I think that deliberateness in their intention of making the film for the entire process really came through in the final product.
Hmm.
In terms of the experience filming. What was this experience like? Were there any surprises?
Um, yeah, the craziest day was we were shooting the entire evening. We arrived in the mountains, so we shot some in. Did we? Yes, yes, in Munich, like 1 hour lower than Munich, and then we moved to the mountains and did all the outdoor scenes and also the yeah some indoor scenes also yes, and then we had a day filming in the mountains, and I've never been in the mountains before, like not that long, and it was so cold in like once the sun was gone, and we shot like 4 or 5 hours a scene that didn't make it in the movie in the end. So
Classic.
funny. And then we had a very short night, and in the morning we had to get up at 5, I think, and we drove like 2 hours to an airport, to a small airport, where they could bring the actual Blériot, like this plane we have in the movie, like not Amelie's, but from
Yeah.
the postman. And yeah, it was very interesting, very nice, like this real machine from there, from the time, and seeing it and touching it, and wow, and all the planes are going off like off next to us, and it was really yeah getting into the flying.
Yeah, 100%.
feeling.
It's so much easier to visualize when you're living in that and
Yeah,
you're also seeing the actual and touching the actual machines. Yeah, that's
yeah,
very,
yeah.
yeah.
It was a big effort also, and there was an old man who owned this plane, and it's very interesting. Yeah, and he also, this is funny, he was also like the producer said like, this is Elena, she's playing Amelie, and we really would love her to start the engine in front,
Yeah.
and he really was like, oh, a girl. Ah, so he was very cute, but he also was like, he did the same that Amelie
Yeah.
experienced all the time. It's very funny. Yeah, and in the end, we couldn't make the scene because he would have to clean the airplane for like 2 days if we would start once. It was yeah, it's very old. Yeah,
Still holding the dust of that time.
yeah,
That's really funny. Well, that was good material to use. Be like, okay,
yeah,
yeah, there we go. We are in the world. Product of your time.
yeah,
Oh, that's wonderful. Um, in terms of the relationships in the film, I felt like they were very authentic. And hearing that you had the time to improv and
yeah.
get into the scenes, that makes a lot of sense for why they felt so grounded. Was there any other exercises or techniques that you used to create that chemistry with the characters that you were working with?
Um, I really think it was a great casting. It was fitting very well,
Yeah.
like without doing anything. But yeah, all this like this 2 weeks of rehearsing was just the magic. Yeah,
Mhm.
because we experienced it, it felt like we we lived through um what our like what we knew in the movie, but usually you don't experience that before, and
Mhm.
we really knew how we met and how our first flight was like, and um it made it so much easier. And also the first shooting day we all knew each other, which is always so like, usually you maybe don't, you mostly don't, because you don't have the time, they don't have the money, and yeah, everybody was just so passionate about it, so it didn't matter. And yeah, it was great.
That's
Yeah.
lovely. I think everyone also kind of knows when you're working on something special.
Hmm.
So there's that anticipation and the magic of that, knowing that you're creating something that is
Yeah,
going to life
absolutely.
after this. Oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. This is a great public service announcement to all directors. Try to have 2 weeks of rehearsal if
Yes,
possible.
fight for it.
It's hard
Yeah.
in theater, it's harder in film. So
Yeah.
I understand the constraints, but wow, what a dream. I
Yeah.
feel like in Germany, you also have your art scene is just pretty impeccable in terms of theater and film. They know what
Yeah.
they're doing. So there's a real
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning, okay, so when you finally saw the film, what
Hmm.
was your reaction to it?
Uh, there was one scene. the smoking scene.
Yes.
Um, because our regisseur said like, this is the best scene. It's like 2 minutes long, Elena. It's like, wow! Because we really love, we both love, like all the three of us love when it's like not spoken and you just hear a lot of sounds and like the grass
Mhm.
and that it's not spoken, but you can see that they're dealing with a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's in this smoking scene where she says goodbye. And then yeah, they showed us this scene in like the party when after the last scene was shot, and yeah, just the rough cut, and I was really crying. I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, and I think it's so cute. We didn't ever talk about this moment, but it just happened, and it makes so much sense that they don't say anything with the goodbye, and Amelie just turns and shakes the hand, and I think it's so much like of being on an equal level with a man, and both are pilots, and it's so cute. I really love this scene,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm very impressed by the sound design, the pictures, the scenes. It's yeah, so many people did an amazing job with lots of love.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned the sound design because sound can make or break a piece. Like you can have these gorgeous sweeping shots through the mountains, but if the sound is not as epic and as lush as it should be, it's just not going to sell. But throughout, I notice like the grandness of the music really helped, yeah, those huge emotional swells and
Yeah.
yeah, the majesty of being in the mountains. So I was quite impressed by that.
Yeah, me too.
You did a good, very
Yeah.
good team. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
in terms of other people's reactions, have you watched the film with some of your loved ones, or what were their takes on it?
Yeah, there was a team premiere at in Munich last summer, and I went there with my mom and two friends of mine who are also actors, Dennis and Niels, and it was so cute that they came and watched it, and it was in this big cinema, and yeah, it was really like a dream
Yeah.
coming true. Like, yeah, it was so great, and all the pictures everywhere. And yeah, Finn and Leopold, they did so much to make this possible. It was very great, and it's just yeah, as you said, the sound is just epic in this big cinema. It was like wow, yeah, yeah,
Wonderful. Okay, so you mentioned that you're in rehearsals for something currently. What are you
yes.
doing?
Yeah, I graduated theater school like in April this year, and
Congratulations.
now I'm in my thanks, and now I'm in my first job at Freilichtspiele Tecklenburg, um, which is a very beautiful place. There's nothing but this big stage, open air, and we're doing two productions. And right now I'm rehearsing for Titanic, so Titanic the musical,
Yeah.
and I'm also playing a very cute role, and she's also yeah a, a smart woman, and it's nice to play her.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's lots of fun and some singing, some dancing, which I also love next to camera working.
Yeah. Do you find that transition from, because you studied in musical theater?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you find that transition from musical theater to film a difficult one, or how do you traverse that?
No, I also think it's interesting because I get this a lot. So people in Germany, the picture of musical theater is not that well. It's not like in New York or something where
Mhm.
all the big movie stars also are on Broadway and singing very good and dancing very good. And here it's like, oh, you're musical theater. Ah, okay. So she can only play big and bad.
Mhm.
And I really love to break this and to show them that it's possible. Because I think it's all the same. We're all telling stories and authentically. And the only difference is that in a camera you have this little, was this is lupe, like where you can see things bigger with a little glass.
Yeah. Spyglass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Big.
camera is that.
Yeah.
And so you only have to think. And in theater, you have to think and then use your speech and make it bigger. And also, musical singing is always big and
Mhm.
like, the audience is further away. Mm, but yeah, I think it's actually the same, and we should behave like that. And it's
Yeah,
all the same. Yeah.
lovely. Well, I'm excited to hear about your future projects, and I think this film is going to have quite the life afterwards. So, congratulations on the project, and thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Yeah, thank
Across
you.
the globe, we did it,
Yeah.
and I'm very much looking forward to hearing more. And for those of you listening, definitely watch this film.
I'm
You
so sorry. This
Hey, no, that's perfect timing.
yeah. Okay.
Perfect timing.
I
She's
have to go back
popping
to rehearsal now.
up. They're like, get to rehearsal.
Okay.
Thank you so much and get to rehearsal. Go make some magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.